Hi, and welcome to this time of prayer. And how do we access peace? And when I say that, does something go through your mind? Well, if I could get people to stop talking to me, if I could lock myself away, if I could go to a deserted island, maybe then I would get peace. Or maybe if I didn't have this job, or we have all kinds of lists, right? Of we can't have peace until we meet certain requirements. But how can we access peace on a regular daily basis, even if we can't meet that to-do list? Because we have a God who is all about bringing us to new places in our lives of peace and joy. And that doesn't mean that we necessarily get to flee and go somewhere else or lock ourselves in a room. But how do we access peace that is of God? So for today, I've got Ephesians, the second chapter, verses 14 through 16. Christ is our peace. He made both Jews and Gentiles into one group with his body. He broke down the barrier of hatred that divided us. He canceled the detailed rules of the law so that he could create one new person out of the two groups, making peace. He reconciled them both as one body to God by the cross, which ended the hostility to God. So here, the writer is giving us a sense that it is Christ who brings about peace and by breaking down barriers. And of course, the writer here is specifically talking to Jews and Gentiles because at that time, there's a lot of hostility, there's a lot of back and forth, and how can we be together? How can we be unified? And we can see that in different groups today. But also this sense, right, of what are the barriers that we need to take down within ourselves in the way that we're going about our world so that we can make peace, so that we can let go of, or we can begin to build new relationships. Because it ends with, which ended the hostility to God. That sense that when we are in relationship with one another, when we are trying to live in peace within ourselves and one another, that we are then connected on a much deeper level with God. And so to think about that on a very much a daily basis, practical things of how are we cultivating that peace? How are we like, wait a minute, that's a wall I'm throwing up, or, ooh, why is that such an issue for me? What if it's about navigating in new ways? It doesn't mean that the problems and challenges of our lives necessarily cease to exist, but how we are starting to come at them. How is peace part of our thinking? And that peace being something calm, something settling, something that says, no, we've got hope here. There is hope. We can look beyond. So thinking through how in our thinking process, in our doing processes, how might we access just a little bit of peace in the way that we conduct our lives, instead of having to meet all kinds of other requirements before we think we get a moment of peace. Pray with me. Oh God, as we are constantly looking for peace, as it seems sometimes ever elusive, help us to access that peace that takes down barriers, that takes down walls within ourselves and between others. Help us to look for new ways of living and being with one another. Help us to understand how we grow in that connection with you. May we find a peace that is of calm, centered in your hope, centered in your love, centered in you as being able to give us that identity that we can be at peace in this life, even if we haven't checked all the boxes. Help us, oh God, to understand peace for ourselves and how to access it. Amen. Have a great one.